What's up guys, it's Ivan, and recently I shared the entire application that got me into the Harvard Grad School of Education back in 2015. In this video, I wanted to share a snippet of that longer video which is linked down below. This video is focused on sharing the statement of purpose, advice, and tips I provided that will help you get into the Harvard Grad School of Education. Now we're gonna move into the statement of purpose, which is probably, in my opinion, the most important piece in your whole application. This is where you tell the story behind why you care about the impact you want to make and why you're applying to Hgse. With the statement of purpose, you're trying to convince the committee of why they should admit you. And a key way to do this is by having a clear theme, niche, or motivation that it's unique from everybody else that's applying. Some of the most important aspects of your statement of purpose that you need to include to gain successful admissions to Hgse are the following. So the first thing that you want to do is have clear career goals. This is going to allow the reader or the Hgse committee to know why you're applying to Hgse. When you state your clear career goals, you're also wanting to state what impact you want to make in your niche, in your community, in your field, right? And I stress this a lot because a lot of my clients that I do work with on statement of purpose writing don't have clear goals. You want to get super clear, super niche, super narrow, because that's what's going to set you apart from other applicants. You want to avoid being broad, and you'll see that. I'm going to read the first paragraph of my statement of purpose. That way you get a sense of what I mean by being clear and concise and establishing that theme that only fits your experience. So let's get into the reading. The Education Policy and Management Master's Program at Harvard University aligns with my commitment to address social justice issues. My goal is to become a transformative leader in research-driven education reform at the local level. I want to improve the lives and shape the futures of marginalized students in small rural towns in the state of Washington and beyond. Specifically, my graduate goals are to obtain the knowledge to develop policy that will improve the educational experiences of marginalized young people. The EPM program at Harvard University will best equip me with the theoretical knowledge and practical experience necessary to become an agent of change to improve the quality, coherence, applicability, and educational significance of intervention programs for the underserved. So right away in my introductory paragraphs, you learn about my clear goals. So a couple of key terms that I want to point out here. So I want to address social justice issues through my work. I also want to become a research-driven education reform at the local level. So you see how specific I'm being here? So research-driven, that means that I don't want to be a practitioner, and I don't want to work at the state level or the international level. I want to work at the local level. So that signals to the community that later on I'm going to describe what local level means to me, right? So what my community looks like. Then I talked about how I wanted to work with marginalized students who live in rural towns. And the rest of my statement of purpose is focused on this rural aspect because that's really the work that I want to make, and that's what makes me stand out from the other students. When I went to Hgse, when I was a student there, a lot of my peers were interested in international work or more larger systems level work, like at the state level or the national level. So this is what made me unique, because I was focused on the local level and the rural versus the urban, which was most of my colleagues were interested in urban. And that's one of the ways that I established myself as a unique applicant, because I was targeting rural, low income, marginalized, and those are key things that I actually care about. So a lot of my clients that I work with for statement of purpose, they try to throw in the rural, because I mentioned in a lot of my videos that the rural part is what made me stand out. So they end up mentioning rural in their application, but then when I read throughout it, it doesn't really match the rural part of it. So don't do what I did and don't write rural in your statement if that's not really what you want to do. If it is, then great, you can use that to talk about and throughout your statement of purpose. But if it's not, don't just copy me because I'm saying that this is what made me unique. You need to find what makes you unique, and you need to use that throughout the statement of purpose. In order for you to have a successful statement of purpose, you also want to showcase evidence that Hgse is is the best fit for you. And by best fit, I mean that they're gonna help you establish the research skills, the practical skills, the theoretical knowledge. They're gonna help you reach the goals that you state in your introduction. So for me, I was interested in learning about local level education reform that was research driven. Later on in my application, I talk about how immigration was a part of my journey to getting to where I wanted to getting to my career goals. And so when I wrote my Hgse part of my application, I talked about that. So for example, I said, I am particularly drawn to the Education Policy and Management Master's Program because of the opportunity to select courses that best match my interests, experience, and goals. Particularly, I'm interested in taking Dr. Roberto Gonzalez's class on contemporary immigration policy and educational practice, and Dr. Karen Mapp's course on the elements of effective family-school partnerships. It is also attracted to have the opportunity to cross-register at the Kennedy School of Government and the Business School. This will allow me to view education reform from multiple perspectives. Additionally, the field internship program will enrich my graduate experience and give me the opportunity to put theory into practice. I'm excited at the chance to work at an education reform nonprofit such as the Center for Collaborative Education, where I can design and implement programs to bring about the kind of long-lasting intergenerational change that I envision. So here, as you can tell, I name dropped some of the stuff that I researched online. So I name dropped 2 professors, Dr. Roberto Gonzalez's and his class, which was titled Contemporary Immigration Policy and Educational Practice, as well as Dr. Karen Mapp's course, which is titled Elements of Effective Family-School Partnerships. Dr. Karen Mapp actually ended up becoming my advisor. So I made a connection with that advisor through my statement of purpose by describing that I wanted to take her course, and the previous part of my statement of purpose described elements of family engagement in my work, and that's why it was a good fit for me, because I wanted to continue to do family engagement work to design and implement programs, as I mentioned later, that the field internship program course would help me develop the theory to practice skills to implement family engagement. So you see how I'm making all these connections and how I'm name dropping different elements and resources of Hgse and showcasing why these resources are going to help me achieve my goals. And that's what I want you to do in your Hgse paragraph of your statement of purpose. Throughout your statement of purpose, you should also describe ways in which you have already attempted to solve some of the pressing educational issues that you care about. How have you tried to solve immigration reform efforts in your work, for example? Tell the committee how you have done that, what you learned, where you failed, and what you still need to learn at Hgse to bridge those lack of skills and knowledge. A lot of the clients that I work with tend to just showcase their accolades. As a reader, I end up telling them, well, because you're only showing your accolades, it's showing that you are an expert in the field. So why should I accept you to my program if you're already an expert? You don't need this program because you're an expert. So when you're describing your experiences, you do not want to position yourself as an expert, because obviously that's telling the community that you don't need Hgse. You want to showcase that you attempted to resolve some of those pressing issues in your field and that you still need to learn more to make a greater impact. And that's why you're seeking admission to Hgse. Then I'm going to stress this again. You also want to have a clear theme, niche, or something that makes you unique. What about your experience? What about your career goal makes you unique from other applicants? You want to make sure that you find something that makes you unique, whether that is through your community work or through your own experiences. What sets you apart from other applicants from your region, from your country, from your community? Every person that's applying to Hgse has a unique story to tell. So I want you to tell your story through your experiences and tell them how those experiences have driven you to want to make the impact that you want to make. And that's how you're going to become unique. So for example, for me, I was very focused on the local rural aspect because that's where I come from. That's where I grew up. That's my experience in education. And that's what I really want to fix with education policy. And I use that lens to write my statement of purpose. I wasn't trying to be someone that I wasn't. I wasn't trying to tell Hgse what they wanted to hear. I really dug deep into my experiences. I reflected a lot and really thought about what stood me apart from other applicants. And I really wrote from the heart, if you want to speak. I wrote about my experience and how that has shaped my pursuit of a graduate degree at Hgse. So I want you to do the same. You also want to conduct extensive research on the program you're applying to. I find that there's a disconnect with my clients who are applying to certain programs and their experiences. They don't really match. So if you are applying for, let's say, education policy, then you have to mention the word policy throughout your statement of purpose. If you don't don't mention that, then you're not really applying for the right program. You want to make sure that your experiences and what you're saying and what your career goal is matches the program that you're applying to. So if you're applying for policy, make sure that your statement of purpose is about policy. If you're applying for arts-based education, then you want to make sure that your statement of purpose talks about arts-based education. If you're talking about innovation, talk about innovation in your statement of purpose. Make sure your storyline matches the program you're applying to. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.